The Madge Sterling series was written by Mildred Wirt. She's best known as the original author of the Nancy Drew series. These books would have been written while she was working on Nancy Drew number 7 or shortly afterwards. They are very much done in the style of Nancy Drew, just changed the names and some of the details, and these would easily fit in as books of the Nancy Drew series. The biggest difference between these books and the Nancy Drews is the length. These books are about half as long as the Nancy Drew books are. Madge is a teenage detective who's very independent. She's not as single-minded as Nancy is when it comes to solving mysteries, but she has a tendency to come across adventures and puzzles that she thoroughly enjoys. Madge has many friends. A different girl is her companion in each book. She also has a love interest named Jack French, who features most prominently in the first book. He shows up briefly at the end of the second book, and he's not in the third book. I thought Jack was interesting, and I wish he had shown up more often. Madge is an orphan who lives with her aunt and uncle. Her mother is dead, and her father disappeared. It is hinted that, if the series had continued, Madge would have eventually solved the mystery of her long-lost father's disappearance. The series did not continue past the starter trilogy. That's a shame. I would have read the fourth book if one had been written. Since it's a short series, I'll discuss all three of the books. Book 1 takes place in the Canadian woods. Madge befriends a girl named Anne Faraday who lives on a nearby island. Anne's father died recently. He left behind a valuable chemical formula. Anne needs to find it soon, or she'll be forced to sell the house. This is the only book in the trilogy with more than one suspect. 2 men are intent on getting the formula, and a third man is intent on getting Anne's house. It's also the book where the culprit is most active against our heroes. He breaks into Anne's house multiple times, and he steals something from Madge. Madge figures out the meaning of Mr. Faraday's dying words. He was trying to say the formula is written in invisible ink inside a particular book. The culprit steals the book. Madge and her friends chase the culprit and catch him before he leaves. They force him to return the book. Book number 3 has a very similar ending. In Book 2, Madge goes to the coast to meet Enid Burnett. When Madge arrives, the Burnett yacht has been ransacked, Enid is locked in a closet, and Mr. Burnett has been kidnapped. The kidnappers deliver a ransom note. They want an artifact called the Zudi Drum. The culprits are religious fanatics from India. They are racist stereotypes, and that's a problem with the series. All 3 books contain racist elements, with people of color who are portrayed in a negative light, and who talk in offensive dialects. This book is the worst offender in the regard of racism, because, well, the racist stereotypes are really nasty culprits. Our heroes go to Enid's house and retrieve the Zudi Drum Bowl. Enid takes it to the drop-off location, but instead of releasing her father like they promised, the culprits kidnap Enid too. Madge follows the culprits, breaks into their house, and frees the Burnetts. I did not like the second book. I thought it was terrible, easily the worst book of the series. In Book 3, Madge dares her friend Kara to visit the spooky Swenster mansion at midnight. Kara sees a creepy man digging in the yard. Why would someone break into an abandoned mansion in order to dig there? The mansion's owner returns. She's the elderly Agatha Swenster. Like the first book, Madge needs to find a valuable item, or else the victim will be forced to sell her house. In this case, she needs to find a pearl necklace, which Miss Swenster's aunt hid at least 50 years ago. Madge finds the aunt's hidden diary, and she eventually realizes the necklace is inside the sundial. The culprit in this book is Miss Swenster's adopted son, John. He is so villainous that he has no problem robbing his bankrupt mother in order to avoid having to work for a living. This book was my favorite. It was suspenseful and interesting. And that's the series. The books are relatively easy to find online for free because they're not copyrighted. Check them out if you're interested. I gave the books a 7, a 2, and an 8 out of 10. That means, overall, I give the Madge Sterling series a 5.6 out of 10. The score is so low because of that terrible second book. If the second book didn't exist, it would be a 7.5 out of 10, or almost 2 full points higher.